It's a beauty day. Look at it out there. Wouldn't surprise me to see snow some years, but it's a beaut. I'm just looking at this inner door. I figured I'd get this door done. Look at this. Now this is one of the most typical repairs you're going to run into. Every door, the lower hinge has a big support and a piece of metal in here, an inner structure that really beefs up the door so it's not going to sag. But it also is a great place for junk and water, because water always comes in around the glass. You can't beat that. And it's going to run inside your door and hopefully drain out here. Any sand, dirt, junk, pine needles can get jammed down in this corner underneath the hinge support, where it's really hard even if you wanted to wash it out. So this is a very typical repair. Again, it can be difficult with all these different angles. His car happens to be in exceptionally good shape, so I'm going to try to dolly all this stuff out. But that's kind of nasty. If I can't get behind it enough, I'll just cut it out and put in a new piece. I mean, no one's really going to see in there, but what the heck. So I'm going to replace right through here. And got to bear in mind we have holes here for the weather stripping. So I want to make sure I maintain those. I'm going to retap the holes here to make sure they're all good for the hinges. And there's no broken bolts. No, that's good. That's something you always got to check for. We are also going to swap over, and we're going to put in different latches. The factory latches were all right, but bear claws or bear claw style, like newer vehicles, are a lot more, I forget the proper word for it, but they are a lot better, stronger, tougher. So this door is beautiful. I can't see any damage on the bottom corners. You look down in here, the skin, there's zero swelling on this bottom. I've already checked the other door. It's absolutely perfect. So this is all we have to do, and I can mount that. This suddenly means I need to put the body on the frame, hang the doors, the back hatch, and set the fender up. It's just all of a sudden, you know, I got to work on drip rail still and a little bit there. But it's been taking a long time, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of this one. I probably won't show it all to you, but at least I'll cut it open so you can see what it is we're always talking about with these lower doors and where everything gets trapped in, because that is a real problem. So I'm going to fire up the air compressor, be right back. Here is the removal. Oops. It's one of those cases where I go a bit small at first, because perhaps I don't have to go that big, and there's other spot welds to deal with. So the first bit is open it up and see what we got. Okay, now if you look at this, you can see that ugly mess that I hammered on, but look at, there's some pretty big pits here at the bottom, and way back here, that is getting worse and worse. So I'm going to cut back a little bit farther here, and I'm going to have to come down a little bit lower. We don't want to be doing this again in a few years. Oh, also, I'm 14 days in, not smoking. It's actually not bad after the first 10 years, they tell me. But right now, I'm just chewing a whole lot of gum. And it's working, and it's freaking worth it. So, I'm sure there's some other reason that no one has stopped by in 2 weeks to say hello. I'm not that cranky. Anyhow. It sure feels good to be able to breathe a little better. So, and I got a U-joint coming for me, a changeover U-joint, because I have a Firebird drive shaft on my Firebird, and I have a Camaro diff. And I was having trouble finding one, so yeah, I called Pat's. Scott solved my problem. They're delivering it tomorrow. And then the Firebird rocks again. Okay, that showed me what I needed to know. Okay, everything is really good here. It was just where the metal was touching each other. I will come back another hair here just because. So this is a typical one. Anyone doing their own car is probably going to have to do. Unless you happen to live in Arizona, you don't run into this. Of course, you have rattlesnakes. Oh man, I found a duck inside the door. Like, they are all over my shop. Bailey, my daughter, hid those. Okay, this is excellent. So I'm going to cut and make a piece for here. And I'm guessing I am going to replace this top part just to be on the safe side. So before I make my new piece, I'm going to hammer some of this out. But there you can see, we're going to blast in here. It's just a natural trap. This would block off any of this stuff from draining down to the floor drains. This is better than I expected. But of course, yeah, the car came up from down south. So we're just going to hammer a bit of this out. Not that tough. I find it's easier to kick it out too far and then dolly it back down. Wow. Depending on what happens here, it may require some shrinks. You know, when you see a big buckle like this, you know, if I heat that up, I can shrink that back. I kind of think that's what's going to happen. I'm trying to lift up the inner here. So I'm pushing up here, hammering on the buckle, hoping that goes forward again. It's working not bad. It is real tempting to make a slice here. Stick a leaf spring down inside and hammer it flat and weld it up on the edge. And that'd be pretty easy repair. So I'm going to blast this. You're at the ballpark. And probably going to go there. We've talked about this before. Patterns don't possess them firmly. Oh, here's something. I've been asked again, and I love telling people someone wants to know what model number this is. Dig this. Makita JS 1600 metal shear. This is a great tool. They're pricey. I'm going to say, I don't know, several $100s Canadian. These dies have 8 cutting faces on each one, so you get 8 cutting surfaces you can turn and flip them over. First one lasted me 18 years. I've got 2 more now because I'm afraid they're going to quit building them. So if you want to cut metal, it'll cut 16 gauge. They work beautifully. You just got to learn how to use them, get used to them. But yes, the Makita JS 1600. Some people were asking in the focus group. It was also asked, don't I worry about welding barehanded? And I haven't really, but I should. So I will try to set a good example and be wearing gloves when I weld. It's always a good idea. Okay. So I do pay attention to what people have to say. Okay, wow, that just kind of fell into place. Really doesn't take long once you get used to it. I know. Okay. So, I mean, they're a few bucks, but get together with your buddies or your local car club and everyone chip in. And then different people can use it when they want, because wow, is it fast. I know guys getting crash to pass would always come and borrow it for cutting out wheel wells. It's so quick. So, anyhow, they're a popular item. I haven't done crash to pass myself. How are we doing? Pretty close. Okay, that is so close. I'm going to finish it off with the grinder. And then I'm going to hammer this edge. I'm going to go over to the anvil and just hammer that edge over round to get most of that curve done, and it'll go just a little bit higher. So I'll get that done. Whoop. There. So, little customizing. Not a bad start. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got to mark and drill holes for spot welds, because it does spot weld down here. Nope, up here. And then I'm going to sandblast that. I'm going to paint the inside of this. But once I get this welded on, then I'm going to deal with this. I just want to restabilize everything. I've started to hammer that lip over. I've got to make that a bit smoother now. But we're well on our way, and it doesn't take long to getting this one in. And that's the only thing this door needs, because it's so freaking nice. And I've managed to leave half the hole, so I know where the weather stripping hole goes. Yep. A little bit more work to do. The piece is roughly shaped. Well, I thought it was. Alright, I got to tack the bottom and then trim the top. Okay. I'm going to weld some of this. It's lined up perfectly. I don't have to worry about warpage because I've got a heavy piece in behind. I just want to get it to line up around the corner. Would prefer, especially on something like this, that I don't have a bunch of filler on it. I did have some people say you should be wearing gloves when you weld, and you know, they're right. So I'm going to start at some point very soon. Yes. Oh, and we checked out buying a new quarter. It was suggested, why didn't I buy a new quarter? So the best price I can get on a quarter right now is $2,400. Shipping is going to be $900 to $1,000. So I'm looking at $3,400. Might take a month to get. So I only needed the back half. When you're doing replacing panels, it's nice to keep as much of the original structure together as you can. Having to take out all the factory spot welds and everything on a complete quarter, it's not something I enjoy doing. I'd prefer to fix just the rusted area, and that's generally what I do. Some people go, I paid for the whole panel, I want to use the whole panel. So if I had got a whole panel, I would have waited a month, I would have thrown away about $2,000 worth of it. And what I just did was way quicker, way cheaper, and the client looked at it and he's happy. You know, floor pans, there's so many different angles and brackets and braces that, yeah, we generally just buy a floor pan. It's easier to replace, quicker, and they're only about $1,000 usually. And if they don't fit 100% right, it's not as critical. Nice. Okay, so we're going to trim this back edge. This is good. I might, you know, there's screw holes in the top here, but this is solid. So I'm going to get rid of some of this and weld this and down the back. And then I'm going to decide at the front. I may get out the torches and shrink this and tighten it up instead of replacing it. I'm not sure yet. We're going to see. But for now, I'm going to get my vice grips out. Yeah, I don't think I have to. Whoop, got to turn the compressor on, so I'll be back in a minute. Alright. Let's try to get a weld on the back edge here. We had a really good question. Someone asked, how do I keep track of consumables, grinding discs, zip cuts, all that? It's pretty easy when you have a small shop like mine. I keep track, even at lunch or at the end of the day. I know how many I've used, and I make a mental note of it as I'm using it, and I usually throw the spent ones back into the box, and at the end of the day I can count them up, because it's really important. You don't want to be charging for stuff you don't use. You're not trying to, you know, you're trying to be legit. So anytime you use a zip cut, you're looking at $6. You use a small one, you're looking at $5. And you just keep track of them. Flappers, a good flapper, $20. But they last a lot better than the $8 ones. So I buy the $20 ones, and they outlast the $8 ones 4 to 1, 5 to 1 sometimes. So it's better to go that route. So you keep track every day. You keep track of your hours every day. Every time I move from this to the next, when I make out my hours, it's, you know, 2 hours bottom left door front, 3 hours right headlight, whatever. You keep track of it, and you have to do that every day. This is a really tough business to make a living at, but it's a great way to make a living, which makes it worth it. So you keep track of all that stuff daily. Okay, and I got to watch for that weather stripping hole. I'm leaving that. All right, so now I'm at the point I'm going to zip around here. That seems to be real good. Yeah, I'm just going to go up to here and then replace that corner. Because I don't have to worry about it down the road. Okay. Dig that out. We didn't do that in the right order. It's heavy. Get some pliers. Okay. Okay. Now for our next trick. Jeez, what do you do? Well, just to be safe, I mean, this looked good, but I'm just going to take out a little bit more there. And I got to decide whether I'm going to go big or not. See, that cuts like it's in really good shape. You can kind of tell. How easy does the grinder cut through it? Yeah, and that metal's in good shape. So, I've gone far enough. I have to decide if I'm doing this. I didn't really want to, but I'm probably going to save time if I just make up a piece with the brake. Okay, so I'm going to do this little bit first. It's fiddly little stuff. This is what takes time. Perfect. Great. And I mean, you know the drill on this. As quick as we can. We make up a piece. Give you a flat point. There we we go. Approach originally. Where it is, I think I'm going to get a felt marker and mark this one as I do it. There. Okay, I'll hammer it on the anvil and weld it in. Okay, time to jump the gun here. I have a little bit of hammering to do and trimming because I forgot that I ran that wire. Okay. Yeah, I'm digging it. Okay, so now you can see it really doesn't need any filler at all in there. We're gonna have to trim this, so I'm just gonna tack it and then I'll zip it. It's a tiny little piece. Okay, now I'll zip out a little bit left of the overhang. And I can weld this up. And again, I'm doing my final fit once it's actually tacked onto the car. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna hammer that a little bit now. I'm not super happy. I got a low spot here, but you get the idea. I'll finish this off, show it all off to you when it's done. Okay, before I do that, I'm going to take the opportunity, just a little bit of hammer in there. Yeah, Okay. Probably, if it hadn't have been for the body mangle on it, I wouldn't have replaced it, but this is just quicker and easier than trying to fix it up. It's a big stress point where your hinges are. You don't want to have a bunch of filler there because it's going to crack. So I try to really get the metal bang on wherever there's a stress point, such as the hinge point, where a door lock goes into a door skin, mirrors, anything like that. I think we've got it. Okay, there you go. Well, do a little finer grinding of it, but anyhow, really quick, simple, bit of a tough spot, little tiny pieces, all will take a while, but I got to clean up my hinges now, tap all my holes, get ready to hang doors. I may even think about starting to do some body work on the roof. Got to finish up the grip rails. I'm all excited now. So here we go, day 15, 16 without a cigar. And I'm fine. Cheers.